Okay, so we're going to check into another website that's dealing with corn in the Bible. This one is Does the Bible have errors? Since it says the corn existed. Okay, let's go and take a look. This is godandscience.org. Does the Bible have errors since it says that corn existed in the Middle East over 2,000 years ago? Okay, number one, um, there's no there's no such thing as corn being in the Middle East 2,000 years ago. Your professors and your archaeologists and scientists and everybody pretty much is saying, no, corn was only in the Americas during ancient and biblical times. That's number one. Now that it's already on the books, in the history books of mostly all the universities on the planet, that corn was only grown in the Americas, the equation becomes now the biblical people, places, and events of the Bible narrative, biblical narrative, was the Americas. Corn was exclusive in the Americas, and because the corn is mentioned in the Bible, it's saying, okay, well, look towards the Americas for the biblical geography, and a lot of the a lot of the cities are not found in the so-called Middle East because they were never there, and the places that are, um, you know, propped up as being these biblical places and in ancient places are not. There's something else, and we'll get into all of those details as time allows. You're in for a wonderful surprise and a great time. But let's get into this God and Science website. Introduction. The word corn appears 102 times in 94 verses of the King James Bible, King James KJV Bible. How is this possible since corn was never in the Middle East until introduced from the Americas many centuries later? However, you will not find the word corn in any of the modern translations of the Bible. Why is this? Here is a list of every instance of the word corn in the King James Bible, KJV Bible, listing the original Hebrew and Greek from which it came. All right, so this is fine and wonderful. You've got the list of the Hebrew. It gives the call numbers from what I think is going to be the Strong's Concordance. So you can just go and look at all of these words and get them and put them in your notes because we're coming back to all this to show you what really it's all about. Corn in the Bible is maize. So look, and then we have Greek words as well. And then we come down a little more. Changed meaning. An unusual thing one notices in the definitions above is that the word translated corn sometimes refers to threshing. Now, real corn is not usually threshed. This kind of treatment is usually reserved for grains like wheat or barley. Another peculiar verse is found in the book of John. Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a be, whatever that is, corn of wheat fall unto the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. John 12:24. What is a corn of wheat? This seems to make no sense from our common use in American English. Maybe the word corn is not really referring to maize. It turns out that there is a very simple explanation why the word corn is found in the KJV Bible. The reason is that the word corn has existed in the English language for a very long time, even before Europeans discovered maize in the Americas. Were these people using their psychic powers to know what would be found in the future? No. Actually, like many other English words found in the KJV, the word corn had a different meaning in 1611 than it does now. at least in American English. The word corn used to refer to any grain, but specifically wheat. When the early English settlers came to the Americas, they needed a word for the new grain that the Native Americans ate. They called it Indian corn, which translated into our common English meant Indian grain. The word Indian was eventually dropped, and maize is now called corn. Here is an example from a website that has more information. The process is even more clearly shown in the history of such words as corn and shoe. Corn in Orthodox English means grain for human consumption, and especially wheat, e.g., the Corn Laws. The earliest settlers following this usage gave the name of Indian corn to what the Spaniards, following the Indians themselves, had called Maize, usually. So whatever, you can deal with this website's funky text or whatever. The term appears in Bradford's History of Plymouth Plantation, 1647, and in Mort's Relations, 1622. I've got both of those books, by the way, listed in the list, and they may be available. Check the list and see what I've included for you all, so we can study on this and get all on the same page. As it's time, it's a new day now, getting ready to open up the truth. So let's do that. Continuing. But gradually the adjective fell off, and by the middle of the 18th century, maize was called simply corn, and grains in general were called breadstuffs. Thomas Hutchinson, discoursing to George III in 1774, used corn in this restricted sense, speaking of rye and corn mixed. What corn? Asked George. Indian corn, explained Hutchinson, or as it is called in authors, maize. From Change Meanings, and the website is listed, http://www.bartleby.com 185/10.html. So whatever, you can take a look at. I'll highlight it over here. That's the website if you want to take a look. Conclusion. Because of the problem of changing meanings and numerous other original manuscript problems, I am very hesitant to recommend the King James Bible, KJV Bible, for Americans to read, unless one is an expert in 15th century Shakespearean English or was educated in the UK. One is going to get confused by many of the words and make serious mistakes in terms of understanding what the Bible actually says. I received an email from one of our readers in the UK who indicated that corn still has the meaning of wheat in England. Therefore, readers in England do not have issues understanding the King James Version, or KJV, as it is properly understood. So, if you know proper English, then you should be able to read and understand the KJV translation without difficulty. Keep reading the KJV if you prefer. However, if you are a lazy American like me, please select another Bible translation, at least until thou can understandeth and rightly divide the word of truth. All right, so it's a lot of condescension going on. It's a lot of joking and funny talk, but ultimately we're going to go through it and we're going to nail this thing down. Corn in the Bible means maize. This person here says that it's wheat corn means wheat in England, and oats and barley and on all these other things. Corn is a grain. Maize is a grain. The CRN with the root of corn is the same as GRN, with the hard C and hard G sound. Corn, gorn. It's the same root word, but this is the situation. It doesn't come from what do you call English. It doesn't come from Old English. These words are very ancient, as the history is a biblical history and greater than just the biblical times, but the history of the Americas are vast and ancient. And we'll go into the more details. So I just want to show you the websites, and we maybe just hit on another one. I'll list them all for your educational purposes. You can go and take a look at what is going on to try to mislead you. But for the most part, that is the godandscience.org.